have a really cool opportunity because you have a ton of previous policyholders
Your budget and your needs, right? I definitely don't want to put nothing in place.
That you guys already have a relationship with, right? So, you know, that's one of the most important things here, and that's one of the most difficult things to establish in the beginning of all this is the relationship side of it. And with these clients that you already have, you know, that biggest piece of this is already taken care of, right? You've already sold them a policy. You already have something to go back and talk to them about. So the biggest thing here is you want to approach these clients as just doing a policy review. So for clients that I have, do this all the time. If they've got a final expense plan, you know, the object of all of this is to call those clients back, really reestablish that relationship, do a quick review of their current policy, if it's one or two policies or whatever's there in the household, and then from there really transition over to a Medicare presentation, right? So when you do a policy review, a couple things can happen here. So the first thing that can happen is everyone here is really good at final expense. So what can happen is you uncover more need for more life insurance coverage, right? So that's going to happen. The other thing that can happen is sometimes they have a ton of questions about their current plan, and you know, it turns into kind of like a service call. But if that happens, the thing that I would,
the last thing I want to do again,
don't get discouraged if it does turn into a service call, because the only thing that's going to do is that's going to strengthen that relationship with that client. And when you come back and you ask about Medicare, you know, there's just going to be more trust that's built there to be able to guide them on their Medicare options, right? The last thing that's going to happen from these calls is, if you're intentional about it, you know, these clients that you currently have are going to send you more referrals, right? So again, the premise of these calls is to, first of all, out of the gate, review the current policy that they have, reestablish the trust, reestablish the relationship there, and then move into potential Medicare presentation, right? So, and I don't know if you guys have a CRM where all your clients are kept, or if you just have to go log back into the carriers and grab clients from there. So, but the main focus, if I could start anywhere, would be I would start with all of my clients who are 64 years old, right? So those clients who are 64 years old, I guarantee you, whether they're 3 months away from turning 65 or they're 8 months away from turning 65, Medicare is going to be on their mind, okay? So those are the ones that you want to target first, okay? Then from there, anybody who's already on Medicare, anybody who's 65 plus, you're going to want to target those second. And then lastly, what I would do is anybody who's over the age of 60, I would target them. And there you're just looking for a general Medicare conversation, you know, put the bug in their ear if they're 62, 63 years old, so that they know that you handle Medicare. So you'll be the first person that they call when they get close enough to where, you know, they hit the open enrollment period, okay? The other thing that you're looking on all of these calls, guys, is for spouses who are turning 65, right? Don't forget about that. So different opportunities here. We're obviously looking for Medicare opportunities, whether it's Medicare supplements, whether it's Medicare Advantage plans. The other things that I don't know that we've touched on a lot with your guys' group is the opportunity for hospital indemnity plans. You know, Medicare Advantage coverage, that's one of the #1 holes in Medicare Advantage, is an inpatient hospitalization. You know, a lot of these plans have $200 per day out of pocket for days 1 through 5 if they go into the hospital. So there's a great opportunity there to sell a hospital indemnity plan to cover to cover that gap. The other opportunity that there is here is for cancer plans. Okay, on Medicare Advantage, the majority of these plans, when it comes down to the cancer coverage, a lot of them are going to be liable for 20% out of pocket on a Medicare Advantage plan. So cancer plans are a great fit for Medicare Advantage clients. So there's going to be opportunities there as well. So for your clients who are turning 65, kind of to go back to last week's training, somebody who's turning 65, you really need to be prepared to make a Medicare presentation from the top, right? So again, what's your plan as far as your Medicare coverage? Are you still working? Are you retired? And then from there, help them understand their different options, right? So sticking with traditional Medicare and a Medicare supplement plan and a prescription drug plan, or is Medicare Advantage going to be more of the way you're going to go, right? So explaining those two options for them. And then if they are within the open enrollment period, so 3 months before they turn 65, they've got their Medicare card, their red, white, and blue card, then you can go ahead and do an enrollment into a supplement plan or a Medicare Advantage plan, right? For the people who are over age 65, really what you're doing with that group is you're trying to understand what they have currently, right? So you're trying to understand if they have a Medicare Advantage plan or if they have a Medicare supplement plan already in place. And then from there, you're evaluating if they do have a Medicare Advantage plan, you're trying to understand what that plan is, and you're trying to establish an appointment for really the 1st of October, so you can review that plan, see what else is going to be out there so that you can do an enrollment for the 15th of October. And again, that plan would be effective for January 1, right? Now, if you have somebody who is over the age of 65 and is on a supplement plan, the nice thing about Medicare supplement plans is you have an opportunity to sell and rewrite that plan today, okay? And that plan can be effective for September 1st, okay? So I'm gonna pause right there to see if anybody has any questions on kind of what I've gone over so far. I just want to make sure that you guys are tracking correctly on really what you can and what you can't do right now.
I have a question, Tyler.
Yeah. Hi, Paul.
Hi, buddy. Hey, so I've got a warm market gentleman who's over 65 on original Medicare with a supplement. He's agreed to allow me to look at it.
Okay.
Who is best to help me review that? He's in Southern California.
Okay. So do you know what he has right now, Paul?
No. He called me last night at 10 o'clock. I was asleep. I'm going to connect with him today and get everything emailed to me. His primary care, his list of medications, copies of his existing original Medicare, and what supplements he has.
Okay.
But I don't know how to review it.
Yep.
And I'm signed up with Humana and United Health.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely help you review that. Paul, you're logged into Reagan, right?
I am, yeah.
Okay. So, and maybe this is a good point here. I'm just going to share my screen here real quick. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
All right. So this is CSG. So the way that we get here is, go back here. Okay, so if you're logged into Reagan, if you go to Business Tools and you go to CSG Quoting, okay? That's going to take you to this screen right here. And what you can do is you can come right here to Medicare supplements and you can run quote. Okay. So right here, you can plug in the zip code, plug in the age, tobacco, non-tobacco plan. I would always recommend that you guys start with plan G. Household discount, married or single, right? And go get quote. Okay.
So I was going to switch him to an advantage, not a supplement. Is that not correct?
So, well, it depends. It depends, right? So unless he has an SEP, so unless he has a situation that allows him to change now, he's going to have to stay put until October 15th, effective for January 1.
Okay.
Okay. But if he has a supplement now and it's super, super expensive and he's healthy, there's potential that you could change him to a new Medicare supplement and have it effective September 1st.
Is there any way for me to look at both? Which one is more financially advantageous for him, the advantage and the supplement?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, but this is the place that you're going to want to start. You're going to want to start here in CSG and look at the supplement numbers that are available.
Okay.
And then, see what's available here.
Okay.
And then look at the Medicare Advantage plans that are available in his area. And then you just talk to him. Hey, look, we can do this. We can change this plan here today, lower your premium, get you the same coverage, or we can look at something October 15th is when AEP comes around, and we can switch you to this plan that includes the prescription coverage, and it'll be effective for January 1, right?
So is there any way to do both?
Really not all in one system, because again, those are completely two different ways to get your coverage, right? If you're on a supplement plan, you've got A and B of Medicare first, and then anything that's left over, the supplement is paying for, along with standalone prescription drug coverage. Right?
Well, no, I get that. What I'm saying is there any way I can, if let's say there's a supplement that saves him now, right? And I switch him now.
Yep.
And then September 1, that comes into play. But then I say, look, come October 15th, we can flip you to this advantage plan, which will take effect in January, and it'll give you these advantages. So I flip him now into September 1, and then I flip him again in October 15th. Are you allowed to do that?
Yes, you can do that. Yep, you can do that. Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's a good question. Any other question, guys? So is everybody clear that Medicare supplement, if you run into somebody today, so for example, your clients who are over age 65, right? Hey, Mrs. Jones, what are you doing for your Medicare right now? Right? You ask that question. And they come back and they tell you, well, I've got this plan and I'm paying $200 a month for it. Okay? That plan is a Medicare supplement plan, right? So meaning they have A and B of Medicare that's paying on their behalf first. Anything that's left over, that supplement is picking up. In addition to that, they have prescription drug coverage as well. Okay? So today, you can actually change them to a different Medicare supplement effective for September 1st. Is there any questions on that? Okay.
None here.
Okay. Excellent. So from here, so you can change those folks effective for September 1st. The next thing really that you guys are looking to do for folks who are over age 65, if they come back to you and they tell you, hey, I'm not paying anything for this plan, so I have a zero premium plan. Really, what you're doing today is you want to get some details on that plan so that you can do a review on the 1st of October, and then look at all of the plans that are going to be available for January 1 of 2023, and do an enrollment October 15th, effective for January 1 on a new plan. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Here's the other thing, guys. And I know that sometimes you get into these conversations and you don't know where to head with them. Look, that's okay. So what I would encourage everybody on the call today to do is to start reaching out to your clients and asking them the question, what are you doing for your Medicare coverage now? Right? Ask that question on every single appointment that you go on, every single call that you make today. If it's a previous client and you review their policy, at the end of that review, right, ask them, what are you doing for your Medicare coverage? From there, the things that you want to get is you want to understand, number one, what company they have, what the premium that they're paying for that plan. Okay. From there, what you can do is, if you don't know where to go from there, write those things down and then come back to me with those questions, and I will help you work through that case. Okay. If it's a Medicare Advantage plan, we'll take a look at that. We'll see what it is. We'll compare all the plans that are available in the area. Or if they are paying premium, okay, it's a Medicare supplement plan, and then we can compare the Medicare supplement plans. Okay. Here's the other thing on the supplement plans, guys, is if they are paying a premium. So let's say they say, hey, you know, I'm paying about $200 a month for this, right? Paying about $200 a month for it. Okay, what company is this? And what plan is this? Okay, there's going to be on the Medicare supplement side, there's 3 really common plans, right? Plan F is in Frank, Plan G is in George, and Plan N is in Nancy. So usually on the front of their ID card, it's going to tell them, hey, this is Medicare Supplement Plan F with AARP or with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Okay. From there, we can make a comparison to what they have, what they're paying for it, and then what's available in the area. Okay. So I would say from this call today, the most important thing for you guys to do is to ask, what are you doing for your Medicare coverage, and start getting into those conversations. Okay.
Question.
Yep.
So am I allowed to solicit people that I know, warm market, and just ask them that question? Or do I just have to say I'm in Medicare and let them ask me? I'm not sure about requirements for solicitation.
Yeah. So look, warm market is fine. You can call them and ask them that. Previous client holders is fine, right? Those are your clients. You can call them at any point in time. So yes. Yep.
So
Good
it's only
question,
complete
Paul.
strangers I cannot solicit.
Right. Right.
Hey, Tyler, what technically, and I'm going to say this, I had a all web lead today come in.
Yep.
Lady was 77 years old, looking for final expense. Obviously, the price was not very good. So I just flipped it. I flipped it and said, I also do Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
Was I non-compliant? Is she considered my client if I just consult her?
Probably not. Probably not. But here's what I would do, Billy, is if you ask her that question and she says, yes, I want to hear about that. The first thing that you want to do is grab a scope of appointment, right?
Okay.
What that's going to do is that's just going to cover you for, you know, you sign it, she signs it. It's an agreement that just says, hey, I've got permission from Mrs. Jones to talk to her about Medicare plans, right?
Okay.
Yep. But look, I mean, that's how I would have done the exact same thing, you know?
Yeah,
I would have done the exact same thing. You start that conversation. You know, half the people are going to tell you to get lost. Half the people are going to be interested, right?
Right.
from there, the ones who are interested, as you get deeper into that conversation, get a scope of appointment so you cover yourself. Yep,
Okay.
that's perfect. That's
And
perfect.
then, yeah, I mean, and I mean, I was able to get her card and everything. She sent me pictures of her card and all that good stuff. So I turned it into a definitely no sale on the life side to a October 1st. I mean, October 15th enrollment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Billy, can you just share with us, of course, not in details, but what plan did you figure out that she was on, and just so that we can spitball about what the
So
opportunity
she
is.
had so she's in a pretty rural area, so there wasn't a whole lot of plans, but she was in a Aetna PPO,
Mm-hmm.
and I put her into a Humana Choice PPO. Well, I haven't, but I will. And one of the reasons was the lower MOOP, maxed out of pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and the copays and the specialty stuff was different.
Yep. So, did you
But
use Connection to find
no,
this,
I
or
was gonna,
what did you use?
I was gonna say that so I haven't done it yet, but all I did, because I didn't have Connecture, I don't have it all set up because I've got so many carriers and I just have to go back and fix a couple of them. I ended up just using Medicare.gov
Okay.
to get an idea, to get that
Okay.
snapshot, enough
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So two things. You can use Medicare.gov. That's just fine. This right here is going to be very similar to your Medicare.gov, right? This is just a super generic search, right?
Okay.
Do you remember her zip code?
It's Pickens, Alabama. I'll get it. Hold on.
Okay.
Because when I typed in the zip code, it gave me 3 counties,
Okay.
which was weird to me. Hold on.
Just so you guys know, when you get into Reagan, if you guys are ready to sell with one Medicare Advantage carrier, you can go ahead and you can request DRX Connecture. Okay, so that's the first step. So you get your ready to sell email from Humana or Aetna or 2 or 3 companies. You can come right here and you can go register.
Okay, 35466. Try that one. Some of the rural areas don't have a lot of choices.
Yep.
That's a good and bad thing, kind of.
Yep.
So this is what it would have looked like if I did this through Connecture.
Yep. So this is what this looks like if you go through Connecture. So just remember, out of the gate, Connecture is going to only display the plans that you are licensed, ready to sell, and have the selling permissions within Connecture. Okay. So if you want to see all of the plans that are available, you click that button up here, and you search all available plans, right? And I mean, you can see there's only 7 Medicare Advantage prescription drug plans here, right? So you said she was on an Aetna PPO plan?
Yeah, I believe so. Aetna, if you scroll down, I think that's the military one right there. Where was it?
That looks like the only. So this is the one that this one's going to include prescription coverage.
Right.
So does her plan have prescription coverage? Did she tell you?
Honestly, I mean, she said she pays very little for drugs. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I asked her about one of the meds and she said she pays like $8 for it.
Okay. So this is probably the plan that she's on, right? So again, what you can do is you can just go there. Let's just take a look here. Boy, yeah, it's tough in this area. But what we can do is you can go compare now. So now what we can do is we can look at these plans side by side here.
They're almost identical.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I said was I talked about Humana's reputation for customer service and all that stuff.
Yep.
And she was like, "Oh yeah, no, Humana's good. I had them before." And she did all her changes and stuff over the phone. Probably JJ Walker, Joe Namath.
Yep.
And then I also told her that I would be in that area and I could sit down and explain stuff to her if I needed to. I mean, I was because I'm going to be traveling.
So yeah, I mean, these plans are super close here. So at the end of the day, you know, here's a Humana plan, 0 premium, same max out of pocket. You know, and obviously another selling point of this plan is she gets you with this plan, right? So if she has questions, if she has concerns, she can always call you back and you'll help her with it, you know. Again, we haven't added in any of her providers or any of her prescriptions or anything like that. You know, Humana does offer some additional dental coverage here. And even though she would be spending a little bit of money for it, you know, that could be another selling option.
Big time.
Right?
A lot of seniors care about their dental.
Yep. Absolutely. So here's another thing that I want you guys to think about is the person who sold her this policy here, this Aetna policy. You know, did he go in depth on this inpatient hospital stay, right? So on these plans, if you go into the hospital, so this one's $275 per day for days 1 through 6, right? This one's $245 per day for days 1 through 7. Okay. You know, did the person who sold this policy go in depth on this? And did they offer her an option to cover this hospitalization? Okay. So there's a hospital indemnity coverage that you can match up directly with this potential out of pocket, right? It's things like that, guys, that are gonna help you make sales, right? So let's look here. Let's see if there were any other plans in the area. How old was she, Billy?
77.
77.
There's a Blue Cross Blue Shield in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of a tough area.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like people probably just bounce. If somebody gets somebody on the phone, they bounce them to Aetna or bounce them to Humana because they're so similar.
And you know, the other thing that's going to happen is, you know, come October 1st, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to see the 2023 plans.
That's what I was going to ask. When will because that was one of the things too, is when will we actually be able to see the new plans?
Yeah, so October 1st is when you're going to.
So we won't get a sneak peek or anything, huh?
Yeah, so there are some first looks that are out currently. we can send some of those first looks over to you, but those plans are going to be available as of to look at October 1st in the system. Yeah.
Okay.
And basically what you'll be able to see is you'll be able to see the benefits that this plan is going to change to, if there's any changes. And then you'll be able to see obviously all of the other plan benefits that are going to be effective January 1 too. Right.
Okay. Yep.
So
that was one of the questions. So thanks for answering that. Because
Yep.
I literally was like, when the new plans come out, I'll make sure that there's nothing better, and then we'll move from there.
Yep. Absolutely.
It was
Absolutely.
actually, it's kind of crazy because she was so willing to talk about her Medicare stuff. Like, yeah, it was just, I was like, okay, I like this. But I know that probably technically not being recorded off the record wasn't probably compliant.
Yeah, look, it probably wasn't compliant. But again, if you get deeper into the conversation and you want to have another conversation, especially if you're going to get into potentially presenting another plan, that's what Connecture's here for, right? So you come in here, you do a new beneficiary profile, and you start to build out her profile. Get a scope of appointment from her, right?
Right.
And then from there, you're compliant.
Okay.
So, yep, absolutely. Another thing that I did want to get from you, Billy, was really a list of agents that we need to be, that we just need to figure out where they're at. Are they ready to sell? Do they have Connecture?
Yeah, we're working on that list.
Okay, perfect.
We're working on that list.
Okay, great.
Because we have people coming, constantly falling into it on a daily basis, so we're trying to keep up with it.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, do we want to? I appreciate that example, Billy, because that helps us get into a real conversation. Again, I would encourage everybody on the call to, don't hesitate. Start today. Start asking that question. Hey, Mrs. Jones, what are you doing for your Medicare coverage? Right? Start getting into those conversations. They're gonna ask you questions that you don't know the answer to, and that's completely fine, right? That's how we learn, right? What I would say is if you get any questions from a potential client that you don't have the answer to, write them down, bring them back, and we'll get those questions answered for you.
So Tyler, one of the things that I used to do before as I was starting to get into Medicare, was I used to use Aetna's super preferred as when I was doing an insurance quote or whatever. I would use Aetna's super preferred rate to find out what Medicare coverage they had. So I don't know if you're familiar with Aetna's super preferred rate, but if they have a Med Advantage plan through or a SUP through Aetna, they get a super rate. So I would always use that as a way to find out the MA plan or the Med SUP for the client without being, direct. And then I would make some small talk and kind of skirt around it and see how they felt about it. And then hopefully at the end of the call, I'd make the sale and open the door for that. But I used to always use the Aetna. So, well, that's good. But I used to, that's what I would do, is I would use that Aetna super preferred to find out more info without being too pushy, but setting it up kind of like an alley-oop.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a good strategy. At the end of the day, I come back to the relationship thing, right? So, if you already have a previous client, somebody who has a final expense policy, the relationship is already there. A lot of times you can be super open with those clients and just say, hey, Mrs. Jones, you've had this coverage with me for a couple years. My main purpose here is I wanted to just review that policy, make sure you're satisfied with it. And oh, by the way, you know, I'm doing Medicare now. So what are you doing right now for your Medicare coverage? And just start to dip your toe in those conversations, start to get familiar with what those questions are going to come next. Start to get really familiar with you know, kind of those scenarios, right? There's really going to be a couple scenarios. They're going to know exactly what they have, or they may not have a clue, and you'll have to dig a little bit, right? But I always go back to those, you know, if it's somebody who's paying a zero premium, that's going to be a Medicare Advantage plan. Somebody who's paying a monthly premium, that's going to be a supplement plan. And then you can start to go down the line from there, if that makes sense.
Yep.
One more time, you said someone that's paying a premium is
It's a Medicare supplement.
supplement, and then not
Paying the
premium is
premium outside of the 170 for Social Security.
Correct.
But
Correct.
Tyler, there are still Medicare Advantage plans that they still may have a monthly premium for.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But the majority of the time, Jared, and hey, Jared, but the majority of the time, they are going to be quite a bit less than a Medicare supplement. Meaning, you know, you may have a Medicare Advantage plan that's $15 a month to $50 a month versus a Medicare supplement. The majority of the time, you're going to be $90 to $200 a month, right?
Yeah.
So there's a significant difference there.
Yeah, absolutely. So for instance, Tyler, so I don't want to take up too much of this time here, but I did my first day out there the other day, I enrolled 3 people on this. The second family I helped, I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. I saved them over $8,000 a year between the $580 monthly premium for husband and wife on plus the drug costs by rolling them into a Humana Medicare Advantage plan. It was awesome. So
Congratulations, by the way.
yeah, appreciate that. But yeah, no, I just want to clarify on that because I did see there were some plans on there that if I wanted to keep him in with their specific doctor, like the premium on that one per policy was like $50 a month or something like that. But
Yep. And all of that depends on the area that you're working, right? If you're in a rural area where population is low, you know, there may be monthly premiums with the Medicare Advantage plans. But there should be a difference, pretty significant difference, so that you should be able to tell, hey, is this a supplement plan or is this a Medicare Advantage plan, right? So, yep. Absolutely. So Jared, did you tell us about your scenario that you switched them over to Humana? Can you just give us the 10,000-foot view there?
yeah, absolutely. So this guy and his wife, they had the regular Medicare, and then they had a group plan for their supplement through United Healthcare. He used to work at Caterpillar for a long time, and they were paying for month for husband and wife $580 just for the premium. Now they were paying for the prescription drugs. On top of that, the wife was like over $200 a month, and the husband was around like $140. And this guy was like about to go find another job because they were going in debt so much for their credit card bills and whatnot. When I got to running the plans, obviously I was still really new. When I started adding up the math on what I was going to say to them, I'm like, oh, man, I don't know. Is this right? This sounds almost too good to be true, because obviously I'm a novice still when it comes to this stuff. And I double checked with Gina and whatnot, and we ran some plans, and the Humana Gold Plus plan over there in that area was a zero monthly premium. And for their prescription drug costs each year, the husband was only going to pay like $170 yearly. And the wife was only going to have to pay like $160 for the year when she was paying over $200 a month alone just for her prescription drugs. Not to mention the monthly premium. So we enrolled them, and I honestly, these folks were about to cry because this guy was honestly looking for another job so he could pay his credit card bill off. You know, and these were some older folks. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they were like 70 and 72.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was insane. So that's just a brief overview of how that went down. I mean, it was really a no brainer. I mean, when I told them that, they couldn't believe it either. And I said, I just felt bad because there's so many folks out there in that similar situations. You know, they were kind of in a rural area, so they're probably not getting hounded too much by people trying to sell the Medicare. But, you know, it just really confirmed that, you know, these folks don't know what they don't know. So, you know, us being able to reach out to anybody and help them change their position, because a lot of times they don't even know, you know, obviously if somebody knew they were going to save that kind of money, they would have been on it years ago, because they've been on this plan for like 7 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, just imagine looking back on all the money that they could have saved over the course of time had somebody reached out to them sooner. So it just edified even further that, you know, that how important that stuff is, because that changes somebody's life in a drastic way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guarantee that everybody on the call here today probably has a client in a very similar situation, and they just haven't been asked about it. So, yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. So, and that comes from just another quick thing back where our hometown where we're from. A few of us on this call, there's like 13,000 people. I mean, that's where the majority of my family's at. And prior to actually getting rolling with the Medicare, they were telling me how big of a problem it was to find anybody that could help them, educate them on Medicare, help get them in the right plans. So, you know, I'm really looking forward to going back there and you know, educating them on the different plans, and, you know, hopefully putting all of them in a better position as well. Not just my family, but the people from back in that community, because there's not a lot of resources back there.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, it looks like we've got some questions here in the chat also. So Michaela, looks like you've got a client who is under age 65, so 46 years old, been disabled, wanting to see if you can offer anything. So the thing there, Michaela, is you want to make sure that this person has both A and B of Medicare effective, right? And if A and B of Medicare is effective, you can offer them a plan. So it depends on what they have now. It depends on their location, on what's going to be available to them. But come October 1st, you can start looking at Medicare Advantage plans for them, and you can actually write them a new plan October 15th. So
how would I be able to see if their A and B Medicare is effective? Is that just asking them that, or is there like a?
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, do you have your red, white, and blue card? Yeah, I got it. Okay, grab that card for me. I want to make sure that you've got both A and B effective. If you see A and B on that card, what are those effective dates? Yep.
What if they don't like have any Medicare? Because like I found a lot of clients that don't even know that they could get Medicare, just because they're disabled.
Yeah. So if they have to go through the process to get approved for disability, get approved for Medicare. They can go through that process applying at Social Security for that.
Okay.
But if they are officially approved for disability, as long as they have effective A and B of Medicare, you can look at enrolling in a Medicare Advantage plan. In some areas, you can do supplement plans as well. They're super expensive. Normally Medicare Advantage is the way to go with somebody under age 65. Yep.
Okay, so what you're saying is like I'm talking about these clients that were already disabled. So as soon as they become disabled, they usually enroll them in a Medicare plan. Is that what you're saying, or
For
would these
2
people
years,
not
right?
know?
Yeah.
24 months.
Okay.
Yep. As soon as they've collected disability for 24 months, they're automatically enrolled in A and B of Medicare.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. So if you have your health license, does that mean you can sell Medicare? Yes, you can sell Medicare. You have to be contracted with the companies. You have to complete your AHIP, and then you can sell Medicare. Yep.
Hey, Elias, we can hop on when we talk about your client, we'll talk about the AHIP.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
So Tyler, what are some things that, if you're going to just say that you're going to be an agent that doesn't go in houses, that does not want to go sit down with clients, but wants
Yep.
to do Medicare at a high level, what are a couple tips that you would tell them? I mean, we've got some lead sources. They might not have a book of business, but one of the other things I thought about too is, for some of us that have had agencies in the past and still do, we have a lot of clients, so-called clients, that agents that are no longer in the business are on our book. Is that considered? In my eyes, that's my client. Once that
Absolutely.
agent leaves, that rolls up to me because I take care of that person now. Is that true?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, good. So our
Yep,
books of business,
absolutely.
for all the dead soldiers out there, those become our clients. So for some of you guys, keep that in mind. That opens up, potentially thousands of policies.
And look, I mean, that's the first place that I would start, right? I would look at those clients that are 64. I would try and review the current coverage that they have. If it's a final expense policy, or if it's a hospital policy or a cancer policy or whatever it is, review that policy. Reignite the relationship and the trust there. And then at the end of that, once I'm finished answering the questions that they've got, go straight into, something to the effect of, hey, the annual election period is coming around for Medicare. I know that you're of Medicare age. Either if they're 64 years old, what's your plan for Medicare? Have you started to look into that? Right? From there, that's going to get the conversation going. They're either going to say, oh, I've got work insurance coverage, or I'm thinking about this, or I haven't thought about it at all. And that's an opportunity for everybody to step in and start to guide them, right? So, well, let's start with the basics. I mean, do you know A and B of Medicare, right? Well, no, I don't even know what that is. Okay. Part A is hospitalization coverage. Part B is doctor's coverage, right? There's gaps and there's holes in both of those. From there, you can cover those gaps and holes in Medicare one of two ways. The traditional way is with a Medicare supplement. That's going to cost you another monthly premium on top of Part B of Medicare. Or you can go with Medicare Advantage. That's little to no premium monthly. But if and when something happens, you're going to have some co-payments, you're going to have some co-insurance, that type of thing. And then from there, take a look at their zip code and see the plans that are available in their area. Now, for people who are over age 65, really what you're doing there is you're trying to understand what they have currently. And if it's a Medicare supplement, there's potential to replace that today. And if it's Medicare Advantage, you're really looking to set them up for October 15th. But yeah, Billy, that's huge opportunity for you guys. There's tons and tons and tons of clients who you already have a relationship with, that you just need to turn to and start there. Absolutely.
One thing I'll say on this, not to confuse people, but a lot of times if somebody's already in that Medicare Advantage plan too, a lot of times some people, especially the demographic we're messing with that we've already gotten life insurance with, they're going to have some of these chronic special needs such as diabetes, heart failure. cardiovascular issues, things of that nature. And in that instance, that actually qualifies them to for a special enrollment period where you can actually change them out of that Medicare Advantage plan to a different Medicare Advantage plan starting September 1. So not to confuse people, but there are going to be a lot of instances where they'll fall within that guideline to where you don't actually have to wait until AEP.
My boy Jared sounding all smart.
I wouldn't go that far, but I mean,
Sounding
Just
smart.
enough to be dangerous, right?
yeah, that's right.
No, that's great. And look, even if somebody is, if somebody's on a Medicare Advantage plan and they qualify for low income subsidy or Medicaid, they can change those plans actually once a quarter also. So, there's another option. There's also the opportunity for a special election period in a ton of areas right now due to natural disasters. So that's another option there. So, but again, guys, the first thing that you have to do is you have to start asking these questions, right? Hey, what are you doing for your Medicare coverage now? Start getting into some of these situations and start to uncover potential and start to learn, right? I mean, that's the way that Jared did it. Didn't really know what he was doing, went out, asked the questions, ran the appointments, and wound up with a few enrollments. So
yeah, and I'll say this, just one last thing here, guys. When I started that day, when I went out there, I was like, oh my God, I don't know what the hell is going on. Like, I felt lost. But just going through and seeing the process, even after the first time, like, I was already 70% more confident. And then after finishing up those last two, I mean, I left at the end of the day a different person than I did going into that. So it's just like, when you start off with life insurance, just getting through the process a few times, stepping up to the plate and just going through the motions, you're going to feel so much more confident just after doing that. So, I mean, I was like intimidated and nervous, and that's just like with anything, the learning curve. But I mean, there's a quick transition from knowing nothing to feeling somewhat, or actually pretty confident in this. So don't be overwhelmed or scared. Just trust the process, go through the motions, and you'll be good. That's all. I mean, from my experience, for sure.
Yep, that's great. That's great insight, Jared. Jared, did you do those enrollments through Connecture?
I did, yes. So
great job, man.
Yeah, it was. So I was having issues. The folks I was dealing with didn't have texts on their phones, or they didn't have an email. So I had to figure out how to do the voice scope of appointment, which actually wasn't bad. So yeah, just once you get the little fine things figured out on how to, finesse each situation, because a lot of these folks are going to be older. They're not going to have a phone that receives text, or they're not going to have emails. Just being able to know where to pivot and how to, take care of each situation, I think is important. So like, and I didn't even have access to the phone scope of appointment. So like, that's something I'll share into the IVR scope of appointment. I'll share that into Slack and with people as well. That way they have that. But once you just figure out the steps, get the scope of appointment done really, and then asking what they like about their current plans, what could they change? I mean, that right there is really going to lead you right where you need to go. Then you just got to be able to be resourceful and figure out, what do these plans have to offer? They give you a side-by-side comparison. You can literally walk through with the clients and point out, the advantages and the disadvantages to each plan. And then the enrollment process literally takes like 2 minutes. I was like blown away how quick that was. Like, it's literally nothing once you get to that point. So it was cool for sure.
Hey, to touch on something that he ran into in the field the other day is, don't forget, ladies and gents, when you get your ready to sells, pay attention, because a lot of the carriers have a health assessment survey at the end of a enrollment that if you get your client to fill out, or you fill it out with your client, it takes literally like 2 to 5 minutes, and the carrier will pay you an additional $50 to $75 depending on the carrier. And you got to be ready to do that before you go to the house, right, Jared?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't. I still don't have that done. They haven't sent me my email to finish that.
Right. So yeah, just something to pay attention, like, pay attention to the emails that you get from the carriers, because that doesn't come in the contracting part. It comes after you get contracted.
Mhm.
So Tyler, I had a question for you too. I did do all that through Connecture. Like the last I looked in there, it didn't show me my scope of appointment. Since I did that through the phone, will that still register on my Connecture at some point?
So did you do that? Did you, that was gonna be a question I was gonna ask you, Jared. Did you do that through Humana site, or where did you do the voice scope through?
I believe it was through Humana. It was what Gina sent me over. I can read I believe it's
Yeah.
through. It was definitely through Humana, because when I called, it says you were doing something through Humana.
Yep.
It was definitely through Humana. Yeah. And then another question, Tyler, is it does already show one of the enrollments on my Connecture. The other two was done later in the evening. So I assume that's probably why it wasn't registering on there. But does that update pretty quickly on there in Connecture?
Yeah, it usually, so your scope of appointment, if you did that through the Humana site, so their voice scope of appointment, so that scope's not going to push through to Connecture, but as long as you have a scope of appointment on file somewhere, you're fine, right? So you've got that scope of appointment through Humana, you're good there. That enrollment went through there, so that's fine. What was your other question? Just timeline of how long it takes to show up in your Humana portal?
Yeah, well, I mean, just in Connecture in general, I guess would be because it shows your enrollments in there, and it already shows one, but the other two that I enrolled was later in the evening, so I figure that's probably what the delay was.
Yeah, I believe it takes like 48 hours to show up in there. When did you do the enrollment?
It was Friday night, or
Okay.
Friday and Friday evening.
Okay, and it's not showing up in there?
I haven't checked yet today. I'm actually just getting back to my house now. I had some things to take care of. I'm gonna get back. But my last question was, when I did the phone scope of appointment, they gave me a confirmation code. Do I need to keep those written down somewhere, or am I good, you think?
So I always do. So if you do a scope of appointment straight through Humana site, and you do an enrollment through Humana site, during that enrollment, it's going to ask you for that scope of appointment code. Okay. Since you did the enrollment through Connecture, you don't necessarily need that code. But
Okay.
if you ever did that enrollment straight through Humana site, as you go through that enrollment process, it's going to ask you for that scope of appointment code. That's the reason that they give you that.
Where do you do your enrollments through? Through Connecture, Humana? I guess why would anybody do it through Humana if you could just do it through Connecture?
So the only advantage is if you do run into somebody over the phone who doesn't have a phone that texts or doesn't have an email address, Humana gives you the ability to do voice signature on the scope, and they give you the ability to do voice signature on the application.
Okay. Good to know. That's
Yep.
So in another instance, Tyler, so I had another pair that day that I'm going to be switching into a CSNP plan. Now they're virtually the same plans. One's Humana Gold and the other one is virtually Humana Gold, but it's for a CSNP, the chronic special needs. But they don't currently have a specific agent that they have a direct point of contact with. So since they are basically virtually the same plans, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch them out of that into the CSNP plan. And, my selling point on that was, we not only with this policy, you're going to have the same benefits, but you're going to have me with this policy as well. And I'm going to be a point of contact to help you, with whatever you may need.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
So I'm going to do that today.
Yep. That's great. No, this has been good. Does anybody else have any specific questions, or Billy, anything else?
No, I definitely appreciate your time, man. And same time, same bat channel next week.
Yeah, let's do it. And the big thing that I would say is let's as you guys are making phone calls today, you're making phone calls this week or running appointments this week, you know, I'm just going to encourage everybody to ask that question. You know, what are you doing for your Medicare coverage now?
Yeah.
Right.
So let's keep track of that, just so we can, so everybody that's making phone calls and such, just keep track of how many times you get bites and just write it down. So next week when we come on, if somebody has we'll just kind of talk about that for a minute. But the other thing that I wanted to do is make sure that you guys that are getting in this training room, it's great that you're getting in, but if you're not ready to sell, you're wasting your time in here, because you should be getting ready to sell. So just keep that in mind. I don't really want to harp on it, but there's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines, and there's a lot of people getting ready to go in the game. You don't want to be on the sidelines when game time starts. So if you have questions, concerns, where you're at with contracting, don't hesitate to reach out. There's a group in our Slack that's called AEP Ready to Sell. Make sure that if you're AEP ready to sell, which means you've completed carrier training with somebody, that you go in there and post, so we can start identifying those people that are going to be on the field with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just second that, Billy. You know, take the time to get AHIP finished, take the time to go through the carrier certifications, get ready to sell now. And that way you can start talking with clients, start getting into those conversations, start working out the kinks on your presentation, because, you know, the first 5, 6, 7, 10 presentations, you know, you're going to be working out the kinks and getting things fine-tuned. You know, you don't want to be fine-tuning things October 15th, right? You want your process smooth and ready to go. That way, come October 15th, you're just doing presentations and enrollments, right? So, yep, absolutely.
Hey, and last little public announcement, if anybody needs to do AHIP, if you look on the Medicare tab in Slack, it'll give you step-by-step instructions on how to complete AHIP training. So like I said, use the resources. If you have questions, feel free to reach out, but use the resources that we give you guys, because you'll probably find most of your answers about Medicare stuff in there. And if not, pick the phone up. Because, you know, we have probably, I would say we have 30 to 40 people ready to sell right now, but there's a lot of people that I see attending on the sidelines that aren't ready to sell. And they've been in that status for about 2 or 3 weeks. Don't let it slip.
Absolutely.
Hey, Tyler, once again, man, I appreciate it. You know, you do an excellent job at training to the level that we need to be trained at. And to me, that's the best kind of training. You're like in the trenches with us. And we definitely appreciate that. Appreciate your time and look forward to it every week. So, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't hesitate to reach out if you guys need anything. So, you know, and again, I'm not only available once a week, guys. So if you get into a conversation today and you got questions about it, you know, I'm available to help. So just let me know. Okay. Billy's got my number. So.
Hey, Tyler, one last thing before you go here.
Yeah.
How do I go about making sure that I'm good to sell with like these standalone dental plans and whatnot too? Because I did have an instance last week as well where this lady's in a good group plan, but she really needs some dental and I want to help her with that.
Mm-hmm.
How do I make sure that I'm ready to sell with like these standalone dental plans or hospital indemnity plans as well?
Yeah. So I would say, send me an email on what you feel like you need, and we'll make sure that you're contracted and ready to go.
Sweet. Awesome. I appreciate it, man.
So Humana's got some standalone dental plans, so you can check those out. You know, you're ready to go with Humana. Aetna's got a standalone dental plan. Manhattan Life, Mutual of Omaha's got one.
There was one-
Emeritus, there's a ton of them out there. So
There was one specifically that Ashley, I believe her name was at Heartland. I'd spoke with her. She was like National American or American National or something dental, something.
maybe National Care Dental.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yep. That's a good one too. So yeah, there's a bunch of different options out there. So send me an email and we'll get you going. Okay.
Good deal. Appreciate you, man.
Yep. Billy, Gage, thank you guys.
Appreciate you, sir.
Yep. We'll see you guys next week and hit me up if you need something before then. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, my man.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Bye.